dual screen handheld scene has been very popular lately, with AYN and AYANEO's offerings, as well as Ambernic's recently announced handheld. In our AYANEO Pocket DS review, we will be taking a closer look at what makes it stand apart from AYN's. The AYANEO Pocket DS measures around 7.07 by 4.0 by 0.98 inches and weighs around 540 grams. It comes in three colours: shadow black, retro grey and starry yellow shown here. The hinge mechanism is quite stiff and allows you to adjust the angle to whatever you like up to 180 degrees. It feels very sturdy and won't move whilst playing. Opening the lid reveals the top display, which is a 7-inch OLED touchscreen with a 1920 by 1080 resolution supporting 60, 90, 120, 144 and 165 Hz. And on the bottom we have a 5-inch LCD with a 1024 by 767 resolution supporting 60 Hz. On either side of the bottom display we have TMR dual analog sticks, D-pad and the usual gaming buttons. There are also buttons for select and start, the IO overlay and return to desktop. Below the display is a row of buttons including bringing up the dual screen controls, performance mode switching, power and volume controls. The bottom has a covered micro SD card reader. The top has dual shoulder buttons and linear all effect triggers, redefinable macro buttons and a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C port for data and charging. The Pocket DS is relatively comfortable to hold, but I have noticed that the tops of the analog sticks are quite small. Having tried this after the AYN Thor, which has larger tops, it does feel strange. It's also quite a bit larger and heavier than the Thor, more suited for a larger jacket pocket or bag, rather than jeans pockets with the Thor. The AYANEO Pocket DS features the Qualcomm Snapdragon G3 Gen 2 processor with Adreno A32 graphics. It's an awesome processor that really impressed us on the Pocket S, Ace and DMG models. There is a choice of 8, 12 or 16 gigs of LPDDR5 RAM, and depending on which, options of 128, 256, 512 gigs or 1TB of storage. For communications there is Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3. Powering it all is 8000 mAh battery. We conducted our usual max settings battery life test, running Antutu on the loop, full brightness on both displays, max performance setting with fans at full speed. We got a battery life of 2 hours 17 minutes. Average usage will depend on what you are playing, but you can expect around the usual 6 to 8 hours. In our fan noise and temperature tests, we got a highest fan noise of 68 decibels. Average of 43 decibels and barely audible on low, and for temperatures it ran extremely cool overall, only getting around 45 degrees C on the display areas. For our benchmarks we will be testing with the bottom display switched on and off to see the differences in performance. We will also be comparing with the AYN Thor, which has a different processor, and the AYANEO Pocket Ace and DMG with the same. Geekbench 6 tests the single and multi-core performance of the processor. The single core scores with both displays on show good scores. We see a larger difference in multi-core over the Pocket Ace and DMG, but similar scores on the Thor. Antutu tests the overall performance of Android handhelds. We see excellent results in both dual and single screen scores, taking first place over the same CPU, Pocket Ace and DMG. For the 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme benchmark, we again see very impressive results. There is a decent increase in performance over the Pocket Ace and DMG with both displays switched on, and with just one display it has a very comfortable lead over both of them. The AYANEO Pocket DS runs Android 13 and has its own home screen software. It has shortcuts at the top for regularly used apps and others are shown below. Their game launcher, iSpace, hasn't really changed much over time. You can add your own game and ROM collection here and it will list them. We would love to see a built-in game scraping feature to really complete this software. The iOS settings software gives you control over the device with performance tweaking controller and device settings, including device spoofing to unlock game graphics in games. You can also update the iOS software and firmware from here. To take advantage of the dual screens, there is an easy to access menu with dual screen controls to switch off and on and lock the controller focus to individual displays. The application option will launch the selected app in the bottom instead of the top display, and control configures the individual brightness, volumes and other common functions. We know from similar Android handhelds that playing AAA games will be no problem. We tried our usual bunch of games including Alien Isolation, Prince of Persia, Horizon Chase and Dungeon Hunter. All ran fine without any slowdown. For games that do not have native joystick support, you do of course have the built-in screen mapping software. It is very easy to set up and use with a variety of games. Simply drag and drop the respective control to the screen area and you're good to go. The Snapdragon series are great for emulation, and it will run just about everything up to the PlayStation 2 era without breaking a sweat. In most cases you can increase the rendering resolution for improved visuals, add graphics tweaks, etc. The turnip graphics drivers have improved a great deal in the past year, and we are seeing improvements in higher end emulators especially. Let's take a look at a few. Getting the dual screen emulators working on both screens, you need to run the app from the bottom screen and do some setting changes to display correctly. Once you are up and running, you will have no issues running the DROIX emulator. You can lower the performance settings etc. for longer battery life. The 3D dual screen emulator AZHA runs great. Again, you will need to do a little setting up for the display on both screens. All compatible games run great, and you can increase the rendering resolution up to 1080p. The CMU emulator is in fairly early stages of development, so it's not massively compatible just yet. You will need to use a forked version of this emulator for dual screen support. There are not many games that use both displays, so for now you're not really missing out on much. The Vita 3K emulator of course runs very well. Depending on the game and compatibility, you can set it to 2 or 3 times rendering resolution for improved visuals. The games look great on this screen. The Eden emulator runs great with the turnip drivers installed. You will be able to run many games at full speed in docked mode. For the first party games we can't mention as always, they run quite well, with many definitely at playable speeds. Overall, the AYANEO Pocket DS is a fantastic Android handheld. In our benchmark test we saw some top results against the same CPU devices. I reckon the physically larger device and its cooling has helped here. The 2 large displays really stand out against AYN Thor for example. It's really nice to play on larger displays, but of course with the larger displays comes an overall larger handheld. The Pocket DS is a fair bit larger than the Thor, and it doesn't have that pocket portability, rather a large jacket pocket or bag. As to which you should decide on between the two. Both have their advantages and disadvantages in terms of performance, design, size, portability, etc. We recently had a popular discussion on Reddit, and there is no clear winner decided there in the comments, so it's a bit of a personal preference for this one. Regardless of which handheld you do decide on, you can buy them both from us at DROIX. Visit droix.co.uk, droix.eu or droix.net for UK, European and worldwide shipping. That wraps up our AYANEO Pocket DS review. We hope you have found it useful. Stay tuned for our AYN Thor review if you are undecided. Thanks for watching, and we will see you back in the next video.